Hi, this is Patrick Henry, the CEO of QuestFusion with The Real Deal What Matters. I'm here today with Farooq Anjum. He is the CEO of a very cool agriculture technology, or as the cool kids say, AgTech company that is doing a terrific job to help farmers improve the yield of their crops and more efficiently use water and fertilizer and also meet government regulations. GroGuru has developed a breakthrough wireless soil monitoring system, we'll talk about that in more details about what that means, that will enable a cloud-based water and soil management system that gives real-time data to farmers, enabling them to improve crop yield and in some cases even the quality of the crops. We had a good story that we talked about off camera around that. Competing soil sensors are frequently inaccurate, unreliable, and expensive. The GroGuru solution provides unprecedented improvements, including a game-changing end-to-end wireless solution with wireless sensors. So a little bit about Farooq's background. He's an engineering leader with over 20 years of experience and a PhD in electrical engineering and computer science from the University of Maryland. Farooq led large global teams to ship products in mobile communications at Qualcomm, wireless networks at Telcordia Technologies, and artificial intelligence and machine learning devices at On-Ramp Wireless. Farooq has several patents, has published over 60 research papers, and authored 2 books. Farooq has expertise in the Internet of Things, which is involved in the GroGuru product, of course, system architecture and design, machine learning, software engineering, quality assurance, wireless communications, big data, and cybersecurity. As it turns out, all of these technologies come into play in the GroGuru solution. So welcome, Farooq.
Thank you very much, Patrick. My pleasure.
So this is a very interesting area for me because it merges artificial intelligence, cloud-based computing, Internet of Things, and a very interesting and important vertical market, agriculture technology. Mm-hmm. So why don't you talk me through kind of what got you interested in this area with your background and what made you decide to start GroGuru?
Sure. Of course, as you see from my background, I'm not an agriculturist.
Yeah.
With that said, at my previous company, one of the verticals we were looking at is the vertical of agriculture.
Okay.
And we could see some potential there. In parallel with that, I also was having some challenges because of my thumb. I don't have a green thumb, I have a brown thumb. And I was killing plants, and we moved from an apartment to we bought a house.
Yeah.
So I was looking at the water bill, I was looking at the garden that I had to maintain. So combination of that got me interested in the ag vertical, started looking at sensors, got to realize the potential of this, how farmers need a lot of help in order to grow the food for the next billion sort of people that we're expecting. And then in parallel, I also got in touch with Jeff Campbell, my co-founder, who's been a soil scientist for nearly 30 years now. He's been an agronomist by experience for all these years. And that's where we said we got to make a difference in the life of farmers. And that's where the GroGuru started.
All right, cool. So Jeff kind of brings the specific knowledge, domain expertise around agriculture and technology and sensing technology as it relates to that vertical market. And then you bring the other pieces of the solution together and kind of the system expertise.
That's exactly right. The wireless, the machine learning aspects of it, and combine that with the knowledge that I get from Jeff about growing plants.
Okay, cool. So why don't you, for our audience, kind of, as best you can, describe, I mean, it's a very technical product, but in layman's terms, I mean, obviously your customers are farmers,
yeah.
So you have to kind of keep it pretty simple.
Yeah.
Although there are farmers that are extremely sophisticated in terms of the use of technology,
right.
You know, but these are kind of, we throw a lot of buzzwords around sometimes in the tech world, and this is kind of a different group of folks as customers. So in layman's terms, kind of describe, you know, as you would to a customer, what you do.
So GroGuru, we help farmers with 2 main things.
Okay.
One is we help them determine the right time and the right amount of water.
Okay.
And secondly, we help them determine the right salinity levels and the fertilizer levels for the plants that they are growing.
Okay.
That's what we do for the farmer.
Okay.
And to achieve this, the system itself is complex. But we have stripped away all complexity so that the farmer does not see any of the complexity. The system is very easy for the farmer to install, very low maintenance. We do not, if you look at some of the existing systems, as you also pointed out earlier, Patrick, some of the existing systems require the farmers to have a degree in information technology or degree in analyzing data and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that we do. Make it very easy for the farmers. They are busy people, so that they don't have to spend time on maintaining the network. They don't have to spend time on analyzing the data. They get the recommendations about what they should be doing.
Okay, cool. That's really awesome. So, one of the key technologies you provide is the soil sensing technology, which does moisture and salinity. That's the salt level in
Correct.
there?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that's one factor that's about how much fertilizer you're using, or kind of the soil quality, I guess you'd say?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and then you had mentioned previously off camera that your technology for each one of these nodes, or what do you call it?
We call them as stems that are connected to soil sensors. Let me show you an example of a stem. This is a stem, and these are the soil sensors that you see out here.
Okay.
These soil sensors go in the ground. You see 3 of these at every location.
Okay.
One goes above the root zone, one around the root zone, the third below the root zone.
Okay.
And each of them is measuring the moisture, salinity, and temperature.
Okay, cool.
And they send the information to the telemetry box that we call as the stem.
Okay, so then the stem communicates to your base unit that aggregates the data across all the different stems that are on a farm.
That is exactly right.
Okay, but you mentioned to me that each stem is also capable of supporting other sensors.
That is exactly right.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
So this soil sensors that you see out here are our initial entry point into this market.
Yes.
At the same time, we have made this platform extensible so that you can add other sensors. We recently added a pressure sensor to this platform.
And what does a pressure sensor do?
So the pressure sensor measures the pressure in the irrigation pipes that are installed in these vineyards or whatever farms.
So the water pressure on your irrigation system.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it helps the farmers with 2 main things.
Yeah.
One, it helps the farmers determine whether the crew is indeed doing the irrigation at the right time and for the right amount of time.
Yeah.
Secondly, it also helps determine the health of the irrigation system. So in that sense, we are looking at not just the soil, but we are also now looking at whether you are applying water at the right time, whether you are applying water for the right amount of time. So it's more like a water management system. And then going forward, we also plan to add other sensors such as the water flow meter.
Okay.
Now this is something that the governmental regulations require the farmers to report how much of the groundwater they have been using periodically.
Okay.
And
so how many gallons?
How many gallons, so to speak, exactly right. And typical approach these days has been to have people drive around and note down the readings on their well, the flow meters on the wells and stuff like that.
Okay.
But the platform itself is extensible so that we can add these other type of sensors, and that is what we are planning to do going forward.
Okay, cool. So all this data comes out of the ground and from the water pipes and all this good stuff, and then it gets sent up to the cloud, and then how does the farmer view that data?
So again, what we do is we have our machine learning algorithms in the cloud tailored for agriculture.
Yeah.
That use the data, and again right now focus on 2 main recommendations for the farmers, as I mentioned earlier: the right time and right amount of water, and the right level of salinity/fertilizer.
Okay.
And after crunching all that, we present the data to the farmer on apps that we have in the App Store. Apps such as there is a GroGuru app in the App Store.
Okay.
On the iPhone, iPad, and we also have a web application. So as soon as the farmer logs in, he will be able to look at the different locations on their site, and everything is okay. So if you see here, the yellow things indicate to him something is not okay.
Okay.
And the farmer has to take action for the yellow or the red things.
Okay.
And to determine the actions, the farmer can click on this and he will see what actions he has to take as part of the recommendations that we provide to the farmer right out there.
And your kind of machine learning, artificial intelligence system determines if it's red, green, or yellow.
That is exactly correct.
Okay. All right, cool.
And we also work with the farmer to do that. Sometimes there are some farmers that we have seen who are very tech savvy, who are like, I understand my system, I understand what the data is, and then we work with them to tweak the system so that they get the alerts and recommendations and the red, yellow, green, all that stuff.
Yeah. Now, is there like a big difference between like a vineyard growing grapes to make wine and like a corn farmer or a soybean farmer or something like that?
Yes, there is. I mean, it depends. So some of the how much water does the crop, the plant need, how much water percolates, how much water you have to apply. It depends on several factors. Like, for example, there's something called soil types. You might have different soil types. There are certain soil types that hold water. There are certain other soil types that just let the water go through.
Okay.
So you need to irrigate more frequently if you have something like this sandy soil, which lets the water go through.
Okay.
Which is, on the other hand, when you have more like clay soil, it holds water, so you don't have to irrigate as often.
Okay.
And how much water does the plant need? And that depends on the stage of growth of the plant also.
Okay.
It depends on that.
So it's dynamic, it's not static.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. External environment factors, whether there are 100-degree Fahrenheit temperature days or whether there are 70-degree Fahrenheit temperature days. What's the wind? What's the humidity? So we take all those things into consideration to tell the farmer, your field has 5 millimeter of water in the next week. Based on all these other factors, you will lose about 7 millimeter of water, which means he has to irrigate much sooner than a week.
Okay, interesting. It was funny because I saw this IBM Watson commercial around agriculture technology like a week after I met you.
Got it.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's Watson doing? Are they just aggregating other data? Are they doing stuff like you're doing, or what's going on with that?
I'm a little on the non-optimistic side as far as Watson. I've been reading some of the articles where I see that IBM is hyping up Watson quite a bit.
Yeah.
But in reality, what it should be doing is looking at data from the soil, looking at data from above the soil, looking at what type of plant is growing, and combine all this information, and that information keeps on changing over the life of the plant, just like what we are doing. That is indeed what they should be doing.
Okay, interesting. That's cool. So obviously this is a hot area. You know, how big is the market for something like this?
Oh, just in the US alone, if you look at the different type of crops, it's about a 2 billion annual revenue.
Oh,
that's
wow.
possible just in the US alone.
Wow.
And think about outside the US. We have been talking to some people who are very interested in taking this technology to the Middle Eastern countries, to India, South America, South Africa. The potential is endless outside the US too.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk to me a little bit about kind of your entrepreneurial journey. You know, what got you into, I guess, initially smaller companies like On-Ramp Wireless, and eventually a decision to kind of start your own company.
I used to work with larger companies at the beginning of my career, including Qualcomm.
Yeah.
But I could see I wanted things to move faster. I wanted to see make a real difference in the life of the end customers, and that's where I joined this startup about 7 years back now. Was with them for about 6 years, but then I could also see the potential that's out there, some of the challenges, and from that perspective, I guess I also had the itch to start off taking control of my life and stuff like that, and the difference that we could make in the life of farmers. That was a big one. That's where I took the jump and started this entrepreneurial journey. And here, it's definitely all those ups and downs. I mean, it's not an easy journey, as I'm sure you realize. It's much easier from the outside.
Yeah.
But then when you jump in, you have those, I call them as the up days and the down days.
Yeah.
And all that I say is, sometimes the high that you get on the up days more than makes up for the lows that you have on the down days.
Yeah.
And that sort of gives me the energy and the kick to keep on going forward.
That's awesome. So I mean, as you know, obviously Jeff is kind of a agriculture technologist. You're more of a big data, cybersecurity, system engineering, software kind of technologist, but both being technologists. So, you know, what have you done to kind of shore that up from like a business standpoint? Like, what are some of the things you've done there?
That's a very good question, Patrick. We realize our weaknesses, and we are very strong in the technology and that aspect, as you rightly remarked. At the same time, we are also depending on advisors to help us bridge the gap as far as the business side. I have learned a lot from a business side perspective, working with several advisors over the last 18 months, and I plan to continue to do the same. In addition, going forward with the growth plans that the company has, we also plan to add people who are much more stronger on the business side as compared to what we have at this point.
Yeah, I love that mentorship model, and I think that's something that, you know, all entrepreneurs can learn from. And you know, my background obviously is technology as well, but I've been on the business side for a long period of time. But I'm always trying to learn things from people that might have an expertise that I don't. I remember in the early days of Entropic, when we were kind of starting to scale the company, you know, we really didn't have somebody in-house that had a high amount of operational experience, you know, working with our subcontract manufacturers. We had some great engineers, a really good test engineer, a really good product engineer, but not somebody at that senior level that had dealt with, you know, all the pricing issues and negotiations. So I was able to add somebody on my board that had that specific expertise that was really very, very helpful to us.
I can relate to that. I mean, sometimes I'm faced with questions. Okay, how do we address this?
Yeah.
In the business, I mean, people who have been on the business side, it might have been a straightforward question.
Yeah.
But for me, not having faced those things in the past, sales commissions, sales quotas, think about it. I'm sure you have dealt with it, it's easy for you.
Yeah.
But that's where I've been talking to some of the mentors to help me understand, navigate these.
Yeah.
And I also would like to point out, GroGuru is part of this incubator here in town called Evo Nexus.
Yeah.
We have benefited a lot from that, and the mentors that we have there, I appreciate all the help that we are getting from those guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Evo Nexus as well, as you know. So what are kind of the, you know, biggest takeaways, you know, both kind of positive and negative, you know, that you can think about from kind of your entrepreneurial experience for the entrepreneur audience out there?
It's definitely much harder than what it looks. I mean, yes, you might read all those TechCrunch stories and all these things where people are, companies are getting millions of dollars easily. I mean, it does not come easy. You got to work towards that. There is a lot of hard work that goes in the background.
Yeah.
And that's I mean it positively. There's a lot of hard work. And the negative aspects of it is sometimes you have to deal with, for lack of a better term, bullshit out there, and you need to figure out how to deal with it. You might not like to deal with it, but as the leader of the company, as the entrepreneur, you have to go in there, figure out how to address that. So,
can you give me an example of something there?
Sometimes people don't work out.
Yeah.
I mean, you get your people on the team, and then you have some expectations, and then those expectations don't peter out. And then you got to make the hard decisions about letting go of those people because it's just not working out for both sides.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
Yeah.
That's one of the toughest things about management generally, and then especially running a company when you're the ultimate person making those decisions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Similarly, the other thing that I would say is raising money. It's not as easy as the TechCrunch stories. Okay, I'm sure you know that. You hear a lot of no's.
Yeah. So I've never been in that fortunate position where people are just throwing money at me.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I've read those stories too. I still
yeah.
haven't met somebody that's done that, but I've heard those stories.
And for me personally, not having been in sales, but that was the other lesson learned.
Yeah.
And the third is, I have being an engineer, for me personally, the lesson learned for the other entrepreneurs that are there, especially with a engineering background.
Yeah.
Need to focus, need to be less verbose. I used to have a tendency to be much more verbose.
Yeah.
Now I try to focus on the questions being asked, whether they are questions by the investors, customers. It's all about selling the product, selling the company.
Yeah.
So it's a slightly different mind shift than what I was used to as an engineer in the past.
I'm going to give you a compliment here, because this is something that I don't always see, and in fact, it's not that frequent that I see it. You know, especially with founders generally, but I would say especially technical founders. Frequently what happens, you know, especially and brilliant people, brilliant engineer, brilliant scientist, brilliant, you know, medical doctor, you know, there's this what I call kind of transference of credentials, where I'm great and brilliant in this, therefore I think I'm great and brilliant at everything.
Right. Yeah.
And that inability for the entrepreneur to learn is almost, you know, a guaranteed death sentence in terms of building a company. You know, you might get to a certain level. You might be able to take the idea to a level of actually building and scaling a business. If you can't realize there's things that you don't know, which opens you up to learning and makes you receptive to learning.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, and that's something that I've really enjoyed in the time that I've gotten to know you. Is you're receptive to learning. You kind of know what you know what you don't know. You're open to different ideas, even in areas where you have a degree of expertise. So I love that about you, and I think that definitely bodes well for your ability to be successful as an entrepreneur.
No, thank you.
Plus, it's just a great idea and a big business opportunity.
Got it. No, I thank you for the compliment. And the other thing that I would like to point out is I feel strongly in terms of my responsibility to the people who are sacrificing their weekends and days and working on this,
Yeah.
to the people who have put in their hard-earned money into the company.
Yeah.
So that's a big sense of responsibility for me personally. So I got to do that. I can't say I know everything and forget you guys.
Yeah.
That's not, you're exactly right. That does not bode well for the company.
Yeah.
And I hope not to be in that state ever.
That's a healthy and good perspective to have. So what's next for GroGuru? I mean, you got all the money you need, or are you gonna raise some more money? Or
No, we are continuing to raise the seed round.
Okay.
We're talking to more investors, as well as getting ready to launch the product in October of this year. You will see me probably half of my time in Central Valley, Salinas, talking to the customers, because our current customers base is there.
Sure.
To the growers, to the farmers. This Sunday again, I'm planning to leave. Go back again to Central Valley, be in Salinas. So 1 week there, 1 week in San Diego. That's how I'm doing. But that's what sales and more investment. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, awesome. So great company, very cool technology, big market opportunity. I think a differentiated product. So check them out. What's a good way for people to get a hold of you, and your website and all those kinds of things?
The website is www.groguru.com. If you go there,
GRO, not GROW.
you're exactly right. GROGURU.
GURU. Okay.
.com. And there's an option there. If you want to send me email directly, fanjum@groguru.com. My first name Farooq. Apple, Nancy, Jack, Umbrella, Mary.
Yeah.
Or we also have a Facebook page, My GroGuru. You can go in there, click on likes. We have not been very active in maintaining that, but I expect that to change as we go forward.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Farooq, for joining the program today.
Thank you very much.
This has really been educational for me. And this is Patrick Henry, the CEO of QuestFusion, with the Real Deal What Matters.
Thank you very much.